The young girl received a work with the salary $100. Her job was babysitting. She had to look after a baby doll sitting in the chair. The baby doll looked very cool. He can move and cry. In the castle, there was no way to open the first floor. There seems to have a secret. She thought to have a well-paid job. She didn't know that something was very creepy coming. The main actress named Lisa. Today was the first day she went to work. She got $100 for being a babysitting. The family was very extraordinary. The castle was isolated with the world. The castle was too wonderful that made Lise so surprised. The castle owner didn't stay at home. She took around. She didn't want to make the carpet dirty. She put off the shoes. She was very curious and went around. A man suddenly came from behind her. Lisa took a look to these beautiful things and surprised. Lisa thought that he was the master of the castle. Hey girl, you want to make a horror film to a romantic film? The main actor named Sean. He brought food and drinks to the castle once a week. He put the food down and introduced to her the owner of the house. Sean was refused when he talked about their son. The owner of the house came back home. Lisa wanted to took on the shoes but her shoes disappeared. She was very calm. Maybe her son hid them. She took Lisa to his son. What made Lisa surprised was their son. He was a baby doll sitting in the chair. Lisa thought it was a joke and laughed loudly. But the man was very serious. Lisa was very confused. Luckily, Sean came and broke the atmosphere. He went to the front of the doll, talked to the child and said hello. He can talk to the child very friendly. Lisa was so surprised. It seemed like only she was abnormal in this room. To get the job, Lisa had to learn what Sean did. She shook the child's hand. The woman said she was satisfied to be his mother. The woman introduced Lisa the job. They acted as if the doll was their baby. They gave her a schedule. What time she had to wake him up and went to school. When the child ate meals and so on. In the morning of the next day, the woman had trouble with the toys lying on the floor. Seeing this scream, Lisa felt wired. The man came and gave his wife a schedule. They were preparing for their holiday. Before they went out for the holiday, they cried so much and didn't want to leave their son home. Lisa didn't understand anything. They left the house. Now only had Lisa and the baby doll. She didn't want to act anymore. Leave him sit on the chair. And she brought the carpet to hide him. Lisa became the master of the house. She drank some wine and went to sleep till the night. Lisa realized the carpet fell down. The moonlight made his face more creepy. Lisa brought him to his room. She forgot all the rules the man gave her. At the midnight, Lisa heard a creepy noise and woke up. Only her stayed there. She had to be brave and went around. It was usually on film when the light went off. Lisa brought a candle and walked through the balcony. She stopped before the art of the family members. Suddenly a hand from the art went out. Killed her. It was a dream. Luckily, she can't sleep again. She went to the child's room. Though his face didn't change, the tears fell down. Lisa was very scary. She saw the tear was falling down. Oh my god, that was the water pouring from the ceiling. She realized a secret room above. She can't open it. Lisa was alone. No friend was there with her. She finally waited Sean for the food. And the salary of a week. And she knew that. The child passed away 20 years ago. The woman made a baby doll to recall him. Sean knew she was very boring. Sean invited her to go out tonight. She got money and didn't need to do anything. She got a good job. She can tell her friends. Lisa bought beautiful clothes. Suddenly, she saw the baby doll watching her. What made her very scared? Lisa didn't care about him and had a shower. When she was relaxed, someone opened the door. Stolen her necklace and her skirt. She didn't know anything, but when she finished, she realized she had her hair cut and her necklace had gone. She looked around but she can't find anything. The room she can't open. Now someone opened it. Lisa only weared the towel and thought C was joking with her. She waited for a long time and decided to go upstairs. When she reached the room, it was locked. She saw through the door and Sean was waiting for her. She shouted loudly but Sean can't hear anything. Lisa tried to break the door in vain. Sean can't find Lisa, then he left the house. Such a bad boy. Lisa was disappointed, then found the way to go out. In the dark, there was someone went out. She fell down. When she woke up, it was daily life. The thing she saw was a cloth. She saw an album. The child in the pictures looked like the baby doll. Suddenly, the door opened. She went downstairs. Nobody there. She was too scared and called Sean. He checked every corner but nothing else. Lisa looked at the baby door staying at the bed. Lisa thought that the appearance of the doll had changed. When Sean talked about the boy passed away, Sean said that the boy was very strange. Sean asked for staying there but Lisa refused. They met twice so that Lisa didn't believe him much. At night, the dark embraced the castle. Lisa can't stand the baby doll. She made his face looking at the other side. But his face went down. She was very scared. It was a bad dream. She opened the door. Your shoes came back. The baby dolls still were sitting at the bed. He looked at the door and the schedule beside. He seemed to tell Lisa to follow the rules. Lisa ran back to her room. She wanted to call for help, but no connection. The bell was ringing and she heard a soft voice. Go and play with me. When she was very scared, someone was coming. She cried and sat down on the floor. Outside the door was the sandwich she loved the most. Lisa suddenly awoke. This doll indeed had a life and a soul. The child who passed away that year must have entered it. The reason the doll teased Lisa like that, it just wanted her to come play with me on schedule. The doll didn't have bad intentions, and Lisa's anxiety was also much lessened. On the other hand, the two owners actually didn't go on vacation. They stuffed rocks in their pockets, bringing desperate eyes, lying hands together and plunging into the lake. A new day started again. Lisa started to stick to her schedule. Had meal with the doll, told him stories and kissed goodnight. Today, when they were playing the piano together, Sean entered. Because he couldn't call Lisa for such a long time, Sean arrived a few days earlier. Seeing Lisa a few days ago was still afraid of dolls. Now being able to live with it happily, Sean was a bit amazed. Because the rule says, it is impossible to let a doll live in a home alone. In response to Sean's invitation, Lisa declined. But the moment Sean just left, Lisa was very regretful. She wanted to use the food to test, after all, whether this doll was alive or not. The result was of course nothing happened. Lisa could not help blaming herself for her poor IQ, then went out to throw away all the food. But during this time, the doll had changed her position. She was extremely scared, calling Sean, just gone not long ago, to come back. To prove the doll can move, she put it on the ground. Also draw a circle around the location of the doll. His sounded weird though. But her lost necklace and pants were the best evidence. Wait a moment and then open the door. The doll still did not move. Sean thought that Lisa didn't seem normal. Lisa persistently tried again, and at the same time persuaded the doll to do magic with her. Indeed, this time they heard footsteps very clearly. Opening the door, the doll in the circle was nowhere to be found. This time it was Sean who turned to be stunned. While walking in the yard, Lisa talked about the reason she came to this place was to hide from her damn ex-boyfriend. Lisa, because of love, had a child. The two had promised to be together for life. But that bastard boyfriend forced her to have an abortion on the baby. So Lisa could understand the mistress's feeling of losing her child. At that moment when love came deeply, the two kissed each other. If not being possible to leave the doll at home alone, it was a good idea that Sean would stay here for the whole night. After praying and kissing goodnight, Lisa and Sean's nighttime conversation in bed was about to begin, when two people got intimate with each other in the room. The two men hurriedly stopped, finding the doll sitting in front of the music player. Lisa embraced the doll. It seemed not a peaceful night tonight. To be able to love comfortably, Sean advised Lisa to leave this place. But Lisa didn't want to go anywhere else. I had been chosen so I should stay. Sean could only tell her an old story. Once a little girl came to play with this baby every week. But after this baby's birthday party, that little girl's body was found in the depths of the forest. Her skull had been crushed. The owner escaped. The child was not found whereabouts. In everyone's eyes, it was burned to death. The case was also neglected. Although Lisa said she didn't believe it, but still went to the attic, turn over the old album. Can the pure child in this picture be the culprit? 1D. Lisa's damn ex-boyfriend also found this place. Seeing the baby doll she held in her lap, he really didn't know what to say. He said he had a good job, and wanted to take her away from this place. At this time Sean appeared, under the pretense to call Lisa away. Based on the man's intuition, he said, this ex-boyfriend could hardly fix his bad habit, so stay away from him. But Lisa was too naive, feeling that things were not the case. Sean left, but was still in the car. The ex-boyfriend still begged Lisa to return to him, but Lisa did not respond. When she had arranged for the doll to go to bed, she couldn't help but tell him about her suffering. If the doll had a real soul, hope it can help her get rid of her ex-boyfriend. The night was covered with dark clouds. Something was going to happen. The relentless drops of blood woke up the old boyfriend who was falling asleep. He shouted and woke Lisa up. The doll next to her was nowhere to be seen. When Lisa came, in the suitcase of her ex-boyfriend was full of dead rats. On the mirror there were a few large words written in blood pouring down, "Get out of here." The ex-boyfriend was angry, assuming that Lisa was threatening him. In his judgment, there were only the two of them here. Lisa saw the doll in the room, insisting everything was made by it. The ex-boyfriend expressed disbelief and snatched the doll from Lisa. His bastard's nature was completely revealed. Lisa refused to let the doll go of her hand. Fortunately, Sean standing outside the room promptly appeared. The ex-boyfriend scolded and snatched the doll, aggressively smashed it on the ground. Immediately, the doll broke apart. Since having seen the magic power of the doll, Lisa and Sean were extremely scared. Suddenly, the whole room began to appear strange noises. The ex-boyfriend said there was noise behind the mirror. Suddenly the mirror broke from the inside out, knocking him away. The three of them had not yet recovered their soul. Then they saw a faceless man crawling out from the mirror. He was exactly the child that passed away that year. The faceless guy just grabbed the ex-boyfriend. Sean tried to stop it when he was beaten by a wooden stick and fainted. He picked up a fragment of the doll, aggressively stabbed the artery of ex-boyfriend. Lisa and Sean were frightened to death and quickly left. When they ran to Lisa's room, they locked the door. The faceless man used all his strength to break the door but failed, and left. But did he really give up? Of course not. The whole room was connected to every corner of the house. The faceless man almost crept in from the wardrobe. Sean used his phone to beat him to faint, then continued to escape. Lisa discovered a way. This place was extremely complex. It communicated with every corner of the castle. The two of them accidentally discovered the man's room in no way. The pants and necklaces that Lisa lost were all here. She also discovered a letter that the owner had written to her son. In the letter, it said that the two owners would never return, and Lisa is the one they choose for their son. Apparently, from the first day she moved here to live, the faceless guy was always peeking at her. At this moment, the absent guy suddenly burst in. Because of protecting Lisa, Sean was beaten by the villain. But when facing Lisa, the sound of a doll came from the faceless man, expressing himself to be very kind, begging Lisa not to run. Otherwise he would kill Sean. In that helpless situation, Lisa had to stay behind, while hiding her weapon simultaneously. She knew even though the faceless guy was very evil, but for many years he had to live in an attic with no sunlight. His personality was still just an 8-year-old child. Lisa shouted, "Now it's time to go to bed." As expected, the faceless guy not only let go of his weapon, but also obediently lay on the bed and covered with the blanket. When she was about to give him a good night kiss, Lisa took a weapon to stab him in the lung. The villain angrily pushed her away, grabbing Lisa's neck. Lisa tried to hold her breath, continued to stab him with force. The faceless man was extremely painful, falling to the floor. Inside the shattered mask was a face, seriously wounded. Then, Lisa found Sean was injured. The two people together drove to leave the old castle. But in this castle that looks splendid and magnificent, the faceless man was still alive. He just fixed the broken doll. Its broken life now would continue. It is the end of this film, The Boy. It is not difficult to guess. For the elderly couple, as to cover up their evil child, they intentionally created the fire, in order to put an end to the judgment of others against them. Then rebuild the castle, creating a secret room, so that the boy might not need to go out but could still be free to live. Hiring a nanny is also a way to find the right for their son only. How pitiful the parent's heart was. Today's video ends here. I'm Instant Noodle. See you next week.